Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. So today's video we're going to be using this Operation Right Home sketch number 239, and all the measurements are listed on the actual sketch, and if you want to have any type of a border, just add 1/8 of an inch to it. I think on the centerpiece they did it 1/4 of an inch, but I changed mine to 1/8 of an inch. So if it's 2 inches by 3 1/4, then my first layer is 2 1/8 by 3 3/8, and then the last layer is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then it gives it just enough border all around those edges. For the base, I'm using my typical, which is 4 1/4, not 4 1/4. My card base is typical 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The mat is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then the beautiful pattern paper from Kaiser Craft I cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then the piece that goes across the middle, they actually didn't have a mat for this piece, but I decided to add it because for me, sometimes I like it without, because you don't necessarily want what's behind it to stand out. But if you're not doing a whole lot to the actual sketch, then I say go ahead and layer it, because it just adds more definition to your sections, if that makes sense. So I've matted it to craft cardstock. And I don't know why, but for this particular set of cards, the craft cardstock goes really well to me with the color scheme. It just, yeah, so that's why I've been using it instead of the black, when normally I would use black. But, you know, it's all personal preference. Now for this one, this is what I was talking about. So my white layer here is the 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. And I'm going to attach it to the craft mat, which I made 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then the pattern paper is where the white square is, or triangle, not triangle, Lord Jesus, what are my shapes? Rectangle. Oh, that's on the very top of, you know, that section right beneath the oval. And I just wanted to do the pattern paper instead of it being like, you know, you could have put flowers there, stamped images, depending on what it is you're creating the card for. There's a lot you can do with that page. Like if this was a fall card, I might have put leaves on there. I think that would have been really cute. And then put the greeting down at the bottom. But for this card, what I liked about it is you have this beautiful flower pattern. The background doesn't take away from it. It actually helps emphasize it. And then with the sentiment, which was a part of the 6 by 6 1/2 by 6 1/2 paper pad, your work is done for you. It's done. And if you're giving it as a gift set, you can just leave the inside blank and let people fill in the sentiments or whatever they want to write the message, you know, to the person they're giving it to. And then to finish it off, I'm going to test my Nuvo drops, trying to get the drop actually moving so I don't get any like bubbles while I'm trying to squeeze it out. And then I add 3 to the bottom, and they don't stand out, you know, like they don't pop out like if I was doing white on top of this or black. But the gold is just a little hint of something, you know what I mean? So it's not overpowering or taking away, but it just adds to what all is happening on the card front. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second card. This card I did first off camera. I always usually do one off camera just to make sure that it's going to look the way I've envisioned it to with the pattern papers. So that way, if anything just didn't go, I could always recut and use different paper. So here are the close-ups. I really love how these turned out. They're super sweet and simple. I mean, you could do so much. If it wasn't for the fact, you can't tell in the photos, but the pattern paper on the top is embossed. So it gives it a little bit of something when you see it in person. So, but if it was plain flat paper, you could always use like your glitter pens on it to give it a little bit of added sparkle. You could add sequins. Really, anything you could think of, you could probably add it. It's up to you. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And at the end here, I will have links to previous Friday sketches. They should be popping up here and here. And I thank you guys again, and I hope you have a great weekend.